Hi, Gemini Sun and Rising. Welcome to a video on the transit of Jupiter in the sign of Aries, which is happening in 2022 and 2023. Not continuously, because they're going to be a retrograde, and that is going to render Jupiter going back into Pisces and then going direct again and coming back into Aries. And so the rough dates of this are May 10th is when it enters Aries. It goes retrograde at some point, and then it goes back into Aries on December 20th of 2022, and then into 2023. And I think it's like May 16th, or is it March? I think it's May of 2023. So the bottom line is that for Gemini, Sun and Rising, this is going to be your 11th house. If you are looking or listening to this for your rising sign, definitely check your natal chart and see if you have planets in that 11th house, because I feel like that can make it even more significant in terms of how Jupiter benefits those particular things. So for instance, I have a couple of things going on in my 11th house. I don't have, this particular configuration, but I'm just going to use that as an example. Pretend I did. I have Chiron and I have Saturn, and those are two kind of challenging things for the 11th house. Well, Jupiter can really brighten things up. So, if somebody has Saturn in their 11th house and Jupiter comes in there, and they have a tendency to have just a few friends and things like that, this can give quite a bit more friendships, if the person wants them, of course. So, just putting that out there too. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion and luck for me is alignment. Being at the right place at the right time, to me, is not random. To me, it's like you chose to go somewhere at a certain time. Your intuition or your higher self or whatever was guiding you to do that. And I don't think it was just dumb luck. I think that it's the more that you align yourself with and are guided by your higher self, you're going to find that better things happen, that you have more positive outcomes. But this, Jupiter is associated with, is the ruler of the ninth house, and that's the God house. So you could say that it could have that spiritual connection anyhow. So the 11th house is the house of friendships, groups, the collective. The 7th house is the house of one-on-one relationships, including committed romantic partnerships, but all kinds of one-on-one relationships, even business partnerships, but it's one-on-one. So even when you have friends, but you're having that relationship as a couple, if you want to call it that, but as partners. But in the 11th house, it's like when you're hanging out with a bunch of people who are your social circle, your social network, the groups that you belong to, organizations, what have you. That's the 11th house. So it's more impersonal. And this is Aquarius's house in the universal chart. So the Aquarian Ideal is about, people, it's about equality and things of that nature. But also that's where the impersonal comes in, where you're not looking at people and looking at them as individuals, but you're looking at them as a collective. So Jupiter can make these associations very lucky for you, whether it's your own friendships that you've already cultivated or new people that come into your life. Gemini is already a very social sign, and now I'm speaking primarily of Gemini sun sign, because you could have your sun in Scorpio and have Gemini rising, and you might be a lot less social, or another sign that's like a lot more kind of keeping to yourself. So I'm sometimes when I say these things, I might be speaking about the sun versus the rising sign. But the rising sign and the natal chart is very important in terms of predictive purposes in particular. So whether or not you're looking for more people to socialize with, or if there are people who can help you open doors for you in some way, either way, this can benefit you. And that's the whole point, is that you feel like you are benefiting from your association with certain people. So they can put out a good word for you. They can do a bunch of things to help you along. Also, you may be involved with groups, more groups, or something that benefits you too. I would say, this is my own personal opinion, is that it would probably be especially with spiritual matters. I am giving a shout out here to cafeastrology.com, which helps me compile my list. But lately I've been just talking off the top of my head and not even really looking too much at that. But I just happened to see what they were talking about here. And yeah, well, they're speaking specifically about long range goals, because that's what the 11th house can be about. And so networking in order to achieve something like that. So I'll give you an example based off of something that I have been fascinated with for years, which is tiny homes. And I would love to, have one day. So that is an example of a long range goal. Well, that can put you in contact with organizations where people already own these, maybe can visit them. And, when you are trying to manifest a goal, being able to kind of embody it is very important. So maybe you spend the night in a tiny home, and then you are able to network with people who have tiny home villages or what have you, and learn the ropes, like how, is there financing, and all the ins and outs. And that's another thing too, is that I think that Jupiter can bring some of these things to fruition, these long range goals, these hopes and wishes. And and the collective can help you to achieve your personal long range goals. And so a lot of times when you think about it, that is how it happens. I mean, you don't do everything by yourself. You can just find more enjoyment through other people. The reason I'm kind of like, when I say these things, I feel like Gemini is already like that in general. So perhaps it just enhances things. One thing to note that I think is very important is that the 11th house is the house of gains. And I did not really emphasize this until recently when I heard other astrologers talk about this. And so anything, the career sector, the 10th house, is adjacent to this house. So I think it's something like this is the second house from the 10th house. And, the second house altogether is the house of earned income. So when you apply it to the house next to the 10th house and you get the 11th house, it has to do with financial increase. And Jupiter, my gosh, that is all about increase. So when you have Jupiter in the house of gains, you probably will experience this type of situation on some level. I don't know if it's entirely monetarily. I assume so, if it's connected to, let's see. Yeah, that's what they say. What they say verbatim is income from your business or career is likely to increase. So another thing too that can be an important change for you, Gemini, is the interest in unusual subjects. And again, applying it to group situations and spiritual situations, I would say something along galactic type of information. I'm using kind of a umbrella term when I say that, because I feel it's like if you're interested in star seeds, like what you are as a star seed, the galactic history of the universe, and other far out types of topics that are about alternative ideas concerning, our origins, and even like metaphysical spiritual beliefs. This could be the time when you hook up with people who are like that, and they influence you in that way. And it's funny because, now that I think about it, I have had Jupiter transiting that house, and that has been something that has occurred recently where I've kind of like expanded in that area. And I was and the thing is, sometimes I listen to this and it sounds like science fiction, but I still resonate with it. And it's like so far from, the religion, the organized religion that I grew up with, that it's almost comical. And I think to myself, does this really hold value in my life? And it has to, because otherwise I don't think I would be attracted to it. But it's kind of expanding your view on what can be spiritual too, I guess I would say. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, I'm promoting my double readings because they are a good deal financially. They are discounted compared to the standalone readings. These are the same readings, but they're just like a bundle. You're getting two readings for it's in one package. So it's an hour of natal chart interpretation with an hour of transits, called my deep dive reading. And then I have, for people who want an astrology reading plus a chart analysis, I have the whole enchilada. You can find out more information about these and other readings I offer at the link below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.